Welcome to our deep dive into Yuval Noah Harari's Nexus. You're looking for a clear, concise understanding of how technology has shaped humanity and where it might be taking us. And Harari's book offers some really thought-provoking perspectives on that.
Yeah.
And we're here to kind of unpack them with you.
What's fascinating is how Harari argues that technology's influence goes way beyond just inventing tools.
Right.
He suggests it's been a driving force in human evolution, impacting our relationship, societies, and even how we think.
It's not just like a list of cool gadgets, you know what I mean?
Right.
Harari connects those inventions to huge shifts in how we've organized ourselves, like take the transition from hunter-gatherers to farming societies.
Yeah.
Tools like the plow and irrigation weren't just like making life easier. They were creating entirely new ways of living together.
Exactly. We started to see larger, more settled communities.
Right.
The need to manage these larger groups along with resources like land and water led to the emergence of hierarchies and complex social structures.
So basically, a sharpened stick eventually led to like a whole legal system.
Right.
That's big leap. But this pattern of technology driving societal change didn't stop back then, right?
Right. Harari argues that it's a recurring theme throughout history.
Yeah.
He points to the Industrial Revolution and the anxiety it created among workers. I think about the Luddites.
Right.
Those folks who famously smashed mechanized looms because they feared being replaced by machines.
Their fear wasn't just about like losing a job, though, right? It was about losing their place in a world that was changing drastically because of technology.
Precisely. Harari suggests this fear of obsolescence is a recurring theme in human history. And today, with the rise of artificial intelligence and automation, it feels especially relevant.
It does feel like Luddites 2.0 sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's not just factory workers now. It's everyone from truck drivers to accountants, even some creative fields are feeling the pressure from AI.
Right.
This brings us to Harari's discussion of algorithms and data, which honestly was a bit of a mind bender for me. I always knew algorithms were behind things like Netflix recommendations.
Yeah,
but
sure.
They know.
Harari takes it a step further, arguing that algorithms are making more and more decisions for us, often without us even realizing it.
Right.
One of the most striking examples he uses is the 2016 U.S. presidential election.
Oh, yeah?
Remember how campaigns were using data mining and psychographic profiling?
Yes.
To target voters with incredibly specific messages?
Yeah. Those ads that seem to know exactly what buttons to push.
Exactly.
Playing on people's fears and anxieties.
Yeah.
It felt very manipulative.
And that's the point Harari's making.
Right.
Campaigns were using algorithms to identify voters' emotional triggers based on their online activity, and then crafting personalized messages designed to exploit those emotions. It wasn't about swaying the masses with a single message anymore.
Right.
It was about manipulating individuals on a psychological level.
It makes you wonder about free will in the digital age. Are we really making choices, or were we just responding to carefully crafted prompts designed to push us in a certain direction?
That's a big question, and when you consider real-world examples like China's social credit system, where citizens are constantly monitored and scored based on their behavior, it gets even more unsettling.
That's some serious Big Brother stuff.
Yeah.
But the implications go beyond just social control, right?
Right.
Harari talks about how algorithms are shaping our access to information jobs, even financial opportunities.
He's concerned about the potential for these systems to reinforce existing inequalities and create new ones.
Right.
If algorithms are making decisions about who gets a loan, who gets hired, even who gets parole, we need to be very careful about how they're designed and implemented.
Okay, so we've got technology reshaping society, algorithms influencing our choices. And then Harari throws us into the world of bioengineering and human enhancement. We're not just talking about curing diseases here. We're talking about pushing the boundaries of what it even means to be human.
Harari explores the world of genetic modification, where scientists are working to enhance human capabilities. He highlights the case of the CRISPR twins, those babies in China who were genetically edited to be HIV resistant.
That case caused a global uproar, didn't it?
It did.
It really highlighted the ethical complexities of tinkering with the building blocks of life.
It was a huge turning point. It forced us to confront the potential and the perils of bioengineering, what happens when we can not only cure diseases, but also enhance intelligence strength or even lifespan.
It almost feels like we're stepping into the realm of science fiction, but it's becoming increasingly real. Harari discusses things like brain-computer interfaces, the potential for merging humans and machines. It makes you wonder, at what point does a human stop being human?
That's the question Harari wants us to grapple with. He argues that these advancements, while exciting, come with profound ethical implications that we need to consider carefully.
So we've got powerful tech-shaping society algorithms influencing our minds and humans being bioengineered.
Right.
It's a lot to process. But then Harari takes us even deeper into the ethical and moral implications of all this, particularly when it comes to artificial intelligence.
He emphasizes that AI isn't just a neutral tool.
Yeah.
It's a force that's impacting our decision-making, and it has the potential to do great good or great harm. One of the most disturbing examples he discusses is the development of autonomous weapons.
Machines making life-or-death decisions on the battlefield. That's a terrifying thought.
It's a real concern these weapons are being developed and in some cases already being deployed. Harari draws a parallel to the development of nuclear weapons, arguing that we need similar safeguards for AI. But the ethical questions are far more complex. How do you program a machine to make moral judgments?
Right.
And if something goes wrong, who is held accountable?
Those questions are mind-boggling.
What?
But the ethical concerns extend beyond warfare, right? He also brings up self-driving cars and the dilemmas they pose.
Right. Imagine a scenario where a self-driving car has to choose between hitting a pedestrian and risking the lives of its passengers. How should it be programmed to make that decision? Who bears the responsibility for the outcome?
A whole new realm of moral responsibility. We're essentially asking machines to make judgments that humans have been grappling with for centuries.
And as we hand over more and more decision-making power to machines, these questions are only going to become more urgent.
Yeah.
Harari's point is that we need to be having these conversations now before it's too late.
Okay, so we've got rogue algorithms, potentially killer robots, and bioengineered humans. I'm starting to feel a little overwhelmed. But Harari doesn't stop there. He goes on to discuss the rise of digital empires, and that's where things get really interesting.
He introduces the idea of megacorporations. Think Google, Amazon, Facebook, wielding power that rivals or even surpasses that of many governments. They shape economies, influence billions of people, and control the data that drives our world.
He uses Amazon as a prime example, describing it as a whole ecosystem with its logistics, data centers, and algorithms.
Right.
They've completely changed how we shop, work, and interact globally.
And that level of dominance gives them enormous influence. Harari highlights the challenges governments face in regulating these digital empires. They operate across borders in a digital realm that traditional laws often struggle to grasp.
It's a whole new playing field.
Yeah.
And it raises the question of who truly holds the power in the 21st century. Is it nations with their armies and economies, or is it these data-driven corporations?
That's the debate Harari wants to spark. He suggests that data itself is becoming the most valuable resource, and those who control it may hold the keys to the future.
So we've gone from the dawn of humanity to this potential future where corporations might be calling the shots. But Harari doesn't leave us hanging there. He dives into one of the most pressing concerns of our time, the future of work, in a world where machines are becoming increasingly capable.
As AI automation and robotics advance, we're seeing jobs that were once done by humans being taken over by machines. And this isn't just impacting blue-collar jobs. White-collar professions are also feeling the heat.
He gives some pretty eye-opening examples. AI is already being used to analyze legal documents and provide legal advice, potentially impacting the role of junior lawyers in healthcare systems like IBM's Watson, can diagnose diseases and recommend treatments with incredible accuracy.
It's a trend we're seeing across industries, from manufacturing and transportation to even creative fields like writing and art. AI is making its presence felt.
And the rise of the gig economy with platforms like Uber and Lyft is further changing the landscape of work. It seems like work is becoming more fragmented, less secure.
Harari uses the term commodification of labor to describe this trend, highlighting how workers are increasingly treated as disposable resources.
It's a pretty bleak picture, and it makes you wonder what happens to people's sense of purpose and meaning in life if they can't find work, if they're considered useless in this new economy.
That's a profound question, and it's one that Harari doesn't shy away from. He suggests that we may need to fundamentally rethink our relationship with work in a world where machines are taking over many tasks. Perhaps we need to find new sources of meaning and fulfillment beyond our jobs, whether it's through lifelong learning, creative pursuits, or redefining what we consider work altogether.
That's a pretty radical shift in perspective. But it feels like one we might need to embrace if we want to navigate this rapidly changing world, speaking of radical shifts. Harari then takes us into the arena of competition between humans and AI. That almost feels like a sci-fi thriller.
He compares the current race to develop advanced AI to the Cold War arms race, highlighting the potential risks and rewards. He used the example of AlphaGo,
Right.
the AI that defeated the world champion Go player.
That was a major wake-up call. It showed that AI can not only replicate human intelligence, but surpass it in certain areas. It makes you wonder what happens when AI becomes even more powerful.
One of the most immediate concerns Harari points to is cybersecurity. As our lives become more intertwined with the digital world, the potential for AI-driven cyber attacks grows exponentially.
It's not just about hackers stealing data anymore. Imagine AI systems capable of launching attacks that could cripple critical infrastructure and manipulate financial markets.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary stuff.
And the ethical implications of AI in warfare are even more profound. The development of autonomous weapons machines that can make life or death decisions without human intervention is a terrifying prospect.
It's like opening Pandora's box. Harari argues that we need to think carefully about how we develop and regulate AI to ensure that it remains a tool for human benefit and doesn't become an existential threat.
He even introduces the concept of the singularity.
Right.
It's a hypothetical point in time when machines become so intelligent that they surpass human capabilities in every way, potentially leading to a scenario where AI surpasses human control.
It's mind-blowing stuff, and it makes you question what's the point of it all? What's the meaning of life in a world where technology is reshaping everything we know? That's what we'll explore as we continue our deep dive into Nexus.
Picking up where we left off, Harari really grapples with this idea of upgrading humanity through technology.
Right.
He explores these concepts like genetic modification, brain-computer interfaces, and even digital immortality possibilities that could radically redefine what it means to be human.
It's like we're taking evolution into our own hands in a way.
Right.
But it raises some ethical red flags, doesn't it? Like, what happens to the people who can't afford these upgrades?
Right.
Do we end up with a society of enhanced individuals and those left behind?
That's a key concern for Harari.
Right.
He worries about exacerbating existing inequalities
Yeah.
and creating a new caste system where access to these enhancements further divides society.
And it makes you wonder, does all this advancement actually lead to a better life?
Yeah.
Sure, living longer or being super intelligent sounds appealing on the surface.
Right.
But at what cost,
Harari's argument is that throughout history, humans have found meaning and purpose in things that technology can't really replicate. Relationships, art, spirituality, a connection to nature, these things kind of transcend our physical limitations and are essential to our well-being.
So we're so focused on pushing the boundaries of what's possible that we're forgetting about what truly matters.
It's a possibility.
And we also can't ignore the rise of virtual reality and immersive technologies.
Right.
Which Harari explores as well. And while they offer great potential for entertainment and education, there's a flip side to consider.
Absolutely. There's a real danger of disconnection from reality.
Yeah.
What happens if people spend increasing amounts of time in these virtual worlds?
Right.
Do they lose touch with the physical world and the people around them?
Yeah. Do we retreat into our own personalized digital bubbles and lose that sense of shared humanity?
That's the question.
It's a slippery slope, it feels like.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that for a book about these massive technological forces,
right.
Nexus really makes you think about the individual. What does it mean to live a good life in this rapidly changing world? How do we find meaning when everything feels so uncertain?
That's where Harari's exploration of human consciousness and spirituality becomes really relevant.
Okay.
He doesn't offer any simple answers, but he does encourage us to look inward, to cultivate self-awareness and purpose.
He talks about the importance of meditation, being present in the moment, and connecting with something larger than ourselves.
Right.
It's almost like a counterbalance to all the external forces that are vying for our attention.
Exactly. It's about finding that inner strength and resilience to navigate the complexities of a technologically driven world, because ultimately our ability to make wise choices and shape a positive future depends on having a strong inner compass.
So it's not just about understanding the technology, it's also about understanding ourselves. That's what makes Nexus such a powerful and timely read. It's a call to action. Not just to build a better future, but to become better humans.
And it's a reminder that we're not just passive observers in this technological revolution, we're active participants.
Yeah.
We have the power to shape the outcome, whether it's supporting the development of ethical AI, advocating for policies that protect workers in the age of automation, or simply being more mindful of our own relationship with technology.
Right.
Our actions matter.
Nexus is a book that will challenge your assumptions expand your horizons, and leave you with a lot to ponder. It's not always an easy read.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a rewarding one.
It's a book that stays with you long after you finish it.
Yeah.
I find myself returning to it time and again as I try to make sense of the world around me.
So there you have it, our deep dive into Nexus by Yuval Noah Harari. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From the dawn of humanity to the potential singularity. But we've only scratched the surface of this incredibly rich and thought-provoking book.
It's a book that begs to be discussed, debated, and explored further.
Absolutely.
And that's what we encourage you to do. Talk about these ideas with your friends, family, colleagues.
Yeah.
Share your thoughts and perspectives.
Because in the end, the future isn't something that simply happens to us.
Right.
It's something we create together. And the more informed and engaged we are, the better equipped we'll be to shape a future that is both beneficial and meaningful.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive. But before we go, we want to leave you with a thought-provoking question.
Okay.
Something to consider as you continue exploring these ideas. In a world rapidly transforming through technology, where machines are becoming increasingly intelligent and capable, what steps can we take to ensure that our future is guided by human values and choices?
It's a question without an easy answer, but it's one that we all need to grapple with.
Right.
The choices we make today will determine the kind of world we inherit tomorrow. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep striving to create a future worthy of our shared humanity. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Nexus. It's fascinating how Harari brings it all back to like the individual level. You know, we're talking about these huge world-changing technologies, but Nexus really makes you think, what does it mean to live a good life, like in the midst of all this change?
Yeah.
Where do we even find meaning, you know, when everything around us feels like it's constantly in flux?
That's where his exploration of consciousness and spirituality, I think, becomes really relevant.
Right.
You know, he doesn't offer easy answers,
Right.
but he encourages us to cultivate a sense of self-awareness and purpose that's independent of all the external noise.
Right. Like he talks about meditation and the importance of being present in the moment. It's like he's saying, I mean, it's all this technological advancement. Don't forget to connect with like your inner self, with something bigger than just like the material world.
Yeah, it's about finding that inner strength to navigate the complexities, you know, that come with a technologically driven world, because ultimately our ability to make wise choices, to shape our future in a way that aligns with human values, depends on that inner compass.
So it's not just about understanding the tech, it's about understanding ourselves too.
Absolutely.
That's what makes Nexus so powerful. It's a call to action, not just for building a better world, but for like becoming better humans.
And it's a reminder that we're not just along for the ride, we're active participants in this technological revolution. Every choice we make, from supporting ethical AI development to simply being more mindful of our own tech usage, contributes to the kind of future we're creating.
If you're feeling kind of overwhelmed by the pace of change, Nexus provides a framework for thinking through these challenges.
Yeah.
It reminds us that we're not alone in this, and that together we can create a future that's both technologically advanced and humanly fulfilling.
It's been an incredible journey. Unpacking Harari's ideas, his ability to connect history, technology, and the human condition is truly remarkable.
Absolutely. This deep dive was packed with insights.
It was.
But hopefully it provided you with a solid grasp of like the key themes from Nexus, and even better, maybe it sparks some questions and reflections of your own about the world we're creating.
And if this deep dive has left you wanting more, I highly recommend picking up the full book. Harari's writing is engaging, provocative, and even surprisingly funny at times.
And if you do read it, let us know what stood out to you. We're always up for a good conversation about the big ideas that are shaping our world. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
If you enjoyed this podcast, support our growth by subscribing for more episodes on the best books.